Yeah, no, he's like taller than Lloyd, and like this is as broad as a barn. And, like I think they have an adult voice actor doing his voice, which is extremely good. He's just like a guy.
A guy, and then
Also,
in the
he's
flashback sequence, he goes up to his even bigger father. And he's like, Daddy.
welcome to Mortified, the friendship quest, the podcast where two long distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm a low-level diplomat who has to die so a little girl can go to school.
And this week we talk domestic bliss with a side of espionage when Spy Family. Before we try to sneak into an elite educational institution, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla,
Aaron?
you ever think about settling down, adopting a psychic child, and using your husband as a cover for your assassinations?
I think about 2 out of 3 of those things all the time. I'm going to let you guess which 2.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, so we are going to talk about Spy Family today. Do you remember why we chose this one?
Nope.
Me either. I think it's just because I saw a bunch of people on Tumblr being like, "Oh, this is very cute." Oh, actually, Polygon recommended it as one of like the best animes of 2022, and that's why I subscribed to their newsletter. And that's how I got on my radar. And I started seeing some fan art on Tumblr that was very cute. Went and watched the first 2 episodes, and I was like, "Oh, this is like kind of good," and that's why we're watching it this week. And it was quick. But I think it was a good sampling of why people are enamored with these characters.
I mean, we watched the first season. I'm not done with the first season because I had a tummy issue halfway through my binge. But I will be finishing the 2 episodes I have left. I had a great time.
Yeah, no, I think the show is very fun and silly, and it kind of leans into the absurd premise in a way that I think is effective. It doesn't take itself too seriously. There is a plot, but like the plot is not really why you're watching. It's just sort of kind of to see these characters get put in situations. And I think that's kind of like exactly what I was looking for, after a couple weeks of having to do some pretty intense, analysis and working through some difficult media properties. This is going to sound weird because this episode will air after our Fast 5 episode. But because we're out of the time loop, we've been having, it wasn't that long ago that we did She Who Became the Sun, and also we're just, we're posting through it, folks. So this was a good one. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is fun. So we usually talk about this at the end of the episode, but who knows how many of you stay to the end? So we might as well talk about it now. I'm traveling for the next 2 weeks, so the next 2 episodes you'll hear, because we're dedicated and we pre-recorded, will be pre-recorded. So enjoy Fast 6 and whatever the fuck else we did.
I think it was All Systems Red.
Oh my god, that was
Wells.
forever ago. Holy
it was
shit.
so long ago, yeah.
So yeah, enjoy those 2 episodes. They're out of order. When you hear us in real time next, I'll have been all on both coasts of the great nation of Canada and very tired, and we're going to be talking about How to Train Your Dragon. So if there is weird tonal shift a weird continuity shift in your Mortified programming, that's why.
Listen, your co-hosts may have become unstuck in time, but that doesn't mean we aren't going to get you some goddamn episodes. That being said, do you have a preference about who does the summary?
I mean, we're so out of order at this point. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll tackle it real quick. It's not super complicated. Basically, there's the Master of Disguise. His name is Lloyd Forger. He's like, I don't know, I would say he's like in his early 30s, but he's like a spy for essentially the West. I think he's coded as like a CIA American. Um, and basically, this is set in a like a Cold War proxy. But his whole deal is that he does missions. And he infiltrates essentially the Soviet Union and tries to gather intelligence. That's his whole deal. He's a spy. You know how spies go. But he's been assigned a super secret mission where he has to essentially infiltrate a private school, and have a special meeting with this one guy named Desmond, I believe. Because Desmond is very reclusive and he only goes to these like meetings at the school, like there's no other way to meet with him. So in order to do that, Lloyd or Twilight takes on the identity of Lloyd Forger, which is a very good name for a spy. And basically, what he does is that he adopts a child, and because he's got to get the child into the elite school. This child is named Anya. She is the product of, you know how in Stranger Things, 11 was the product of weird like MK Ultra, Soviet Union, magical experiments. It's basically the same thing. Anya is a telepath. She can read people's minds. She's about 5 years old. She's very cute. And basically, Lloyd adopts her, takes her and makes her his daughter, and together they, try to get into the school. But Lloyd also needs a wife, which is where we get your Briar, who is basically she works at like an office sort of deal,
She works
doing
at City
generic.
Hall.
City Hall, thank you. Yes, that's right. That's a key plot point. I don't know what she actually does besides like avoid her very mean coworkers, but that's just a cover because what she actually is by night is the Thorn Princess, who is a deadly assassin. And if you know anything about Spy Family, it's probably the fan art you've seen of Yor with her like cool hot dress and her two like needles. That's kind of that's one of the big like images for this show that I think is really fun and stands out. But basically, she agrees because she's like, oh man, it's so suspicious for me at the, just you can just tell she's just withering away. She's 27 and she's still single. Can you imagine that, Layla? God damn.
I think you and I both wrote down that line.
It's cruel. It's a very mean thing
And
to say.
you're married, and I'm famously hunting for a husband. I say famously, don't approach me. But that one stung. That one really did. As somebody over the age of 27, it did hurt a bit.
Owie kazowie. But yeah, basically they get into this weird arrangement where basically they're like, okay, we're all gonna pretend to be a family. Lloyd gets cover. He's gonna be able to do his mission. Yor is able to perform her assassinations without suspicion, and Anya doesn't have to live in a weird orphanage. So it's a pretty good deal all around. And basically the first season of Spy Family is her trying to get into this academy, succeeding, and then like the hijinks that ensue afterwards with her relationships with the people at the academy. But that's basically it. Like the plot is not especially complex or important. Frankly, the plot is far less important than the moments that the characters have within it, which is kind of nice. I think like this is, I don't know, that slice of life is the word that I would use to describe this show, but like I feel like that's what it's going for.
Right. So critically, none of the three of them know what the other two's deal is.
Yes.
That is why they're so focused on this like slice of life charade, because Lloyd doesn't know that Yor is an assassin or that Anya's a telepath, and so on and so forth. So they're all like, we must keep the peace and not let the others find out. And
Anya knows both of their secrets, yeah.
Because she's a telepath, and so she tries to like carefully intervene, and that's where a lot of the hijinks also ensue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. Shall we talk about Twilight?
Mm-hmm.
Our James Bond figure.
Yeah, so we don't know his real name. We know he's Agent Twilight. and he goes by Lloyd Forger, which is just people who name things for anime are truly just next level motherfuckers. I found out recently that the phrase Naruhodo means like, of course, like this was so clear, this is so obvious. And that is also the name of Phoenix Wright, like that's his Japanese name. Is of course. And
That's really
I've
good.
I've been watching the stage plays, which are excellent. And every time he says it, I laugh without fail. And so whoever named him Lloyd Forger, mwah, beautiful, thank you. Um, he's very I think he's almost coded more British than American. Like he's very like
That would make sense because I think James Bond British? He's got to be.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. God.
Yeah, because he's modeled after. There's a spy cartoon in the show, and the main character is like Bond Man or something.
Yeah, it's literally Bondo Man. That's what they call him. So
Yeah, and
like,
it's just like a
yeah,
giant metaphor for Lloyd. But like, yeah, he's very uptight. He's very highly strung, and he constantly thinks that his family's gonna fail him because he's like not used to relying on other people. But at the same time, you can tell he's like quite enjoying playing the like doting father. It's he is. I think you wrote he's super committed to being a wife guy for no fucking reason.
yeah, exactly. He is a method actor at that, and I respect that. I think he annoys me at some points because he really does demand a lot of Anya, and that he like is pushing her to study very hard, and really needs her to basically do everything for him to get into this university because that's his job, that's his mission. World peace depends on it or whatever. But aside from those like plot contrivances, I do think he's a very funny character, right? Like he is this hyper competent spy. There's a point where like he has to like rush to a dinner party because this is right before he and Yor get married. And he's like, oh, I gotta go to this party. And he's like, okay, there's 40 of these henchmen. I can't even waste 1 second on each or 10 seconds on each of them. And there's just like a montage of him like obliterating all these dudes. They're like flinging themselves at him, and he's like kicking their asses left and right. And it's like maybe a 15-second clip, and then he like runs over to the dinner party, and he's just covered in blood. And he's just like, I'm so sorry, I was late. I'm a psychiatrist, looks around to make sure everybody agrees. Yeah, and my patient was having an episode. Yeah, that you believe that shit, you fucking idiots. All right, great. And like that's kind of the tone of this. Like Lloyd is astonishingly the straight man here, because like both Yor and Anya's a kid and Yor is like kind of a dummy. But like I do love that he is trying to like play everything serious and sincere, and he's also like a completely like he's a guy who's he was also an orphan. He was raised by this like spy agency, so like he's also extremely fucked up and not normal. And he just doesn't realize it.
Yeah, I mean, like I do appreciate that he commits to the bit though. He's great. Um, I think like you meet him and Anya before you meet Yor, and they're both just such spectacular dummy weirdos. Anytime Anya's like, she's like, I want to live in a castle. He's like, I'll see if there's one listed. He just blindly agrees. I think he's spectacular. I would absolutely marry him 10 out of 10. Great job. Fantastic
He's
character.
great. Shall we talk about Mrs. Forger, the Thorn Princess Yor?
Oh, I would marry her as well in a heartbeat, no questions asked. What a spectacular little weirdo. Truly has no idea what's going on around her. Just trying to kill people and not make trouble at work. Queen.
Yeah. I think Yor and Anya are my favorite. I think Yor just because she's like a hot assassin. I like her character a lot. But also like it's very funny that she's not like a femme fatale, because being a femme fatale like has a certain like air and level of like understanding and deception, right? Yor is like mostly completely guileless except for the fact that she is hiding her murder job, right? But aside from all that, she's like completely straightforward and like like willing to like she's like very interested and invested in making sure that Anya feels like she's actually her mom. And she's also very stupid in that like she cannot help Anya with homework. Like she doesn't know anything about math. Like she has to tell a lie to her brother at one point where because like basically when Lloyd and Yor got married super quickly, she told everybody they'd actually been married a year. And when her brother's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" She's just like, "I forgot." Uh, and then Lloyd's like, "We're fucked. We're fucked. I can't believe she said that." And then her brother, who's also an idiot, is like, "Well, I guess that makes sense, big sister." And he's just like, "God, these people are just they're so dumb, but I love them so much." Yeah, yours
Uh,
great. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I like that she always just like jumps to violence no matter what happens. There's one point where an old lady gets robbed and she just descends about 9 stories from a park bench to, go fuck up the thief. And it's just incredible because all of these characters are complete weirdos that take each other completely seriously. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't really notice the fact that the other one, any of the other three, are freak bitches. Like sometimes Lloyd is like, yeah, sometimes Anya will say stuff and it's almost like she knows exactly what you're thinking. Kids are
Mm-hmm.
so weird.
Yeah, no, it's very and like whenever like somebody like there's often times where something unexpected will happen and yours like lightning reflexes will respond or like somebody will like try to get Anya and she'll just like obliterate them with a single kick and Lloyd's just like, "Wow, you're really athletic." It's just like
What is she? She says she does self-defense and yoga.
yeah, it's great. My biggest complaint with the show overall is that Yor does not get a whole lot of time.
No,
I
I need more screen time for her.
Yes, I am very interested in her assassin backstory. I like I wish they gave as much time to Yor's like weird murder hierarchy job as they did to Lloyd's spy missions. Right, I want to know what her agency is like. I want the Mr. and Mrs. Smith version of this where we get much more backstory about Yor, 'cause she's great. We do get a bit with her brother Yori. I don't know if we want to dig into him now or save him for a talking point.
I mean,
But
I think all I want to say for now is that, like brother, like sister, they are both completely stupid and completely unhinged.
yes, they're all insane people. The arguably the only normal one is Anya. How do we feel about Anya?
I would raise 1,000 countries for her. What a babe.
She is so cute. She's just like a dumb little kid, but also, she has psychic powers. So she acts the way that you would expect, like a pretty smart, 5-year-old with psychic powers to do. Like she's like, okay, I need to help Papa. So in order to do that, I see that he's like really worried about finding a wife. So like when Yor walks in and she's like, oh man, that guy's, I wonder if I could just invite this guy to the party on Saturday. But then he's like, "Oh no, he has a child. I don't want to get murdered by his wife over this." So what Anya does is she stands in the middle of the shop they're in and hugs herself and says, "Oh, I am so lonely. I long for a mother." Uh, and then Lloyd's like, "What are you doing, child?" And then, like, of course, that's how they get together. And it's just really funny because she's able to manipulate people with her psychic powers in the funniest ways possible.
Right. Well, I mean, I do also like that there's like a built-in weakness, which is she gets really overwhelmed in crowds. She knows what everyone's thinking. But I also love her because she wants to be just like her mom. She wants to do big kick and big punch all the time.
Yes,
And
100%.
so now you have this little girl who is psychic, who is just trying to do her best at school to help with her papa's mission, but also all the kids around her are dipshit little idiot rich kids. And so there's just so much opportunity for her to do violence. We'll talk about the dodgeball episode because it's an incredible piece of filmmaking. But the first time she ever meets the Damien kid, the second son, she does deck him and send him flying into a
Hmm.
wall. And I love
Hmm.
her, and she's the best.
She kicks ass. Anya for president. Do we
Oh,
not talk
shout
about?
out real
Oh,
quick. Shout out to I was at a birthday party for my friend's mom, my childhood friend's mom, a couple of weekends ago. Shout out to the little girl who showed up in full Anya Forger cosplay to this birthday party with mostly adults and a couple other kids. I love her. I would kill for her. And congratulations on your bravery.
Um, this
She was
was
very
a
happy when I
little,
knew who she was.
huh,
Mm-hmm.
wild. Okay, I guess I'm glad that kid has taste.
See?
Do we want to talk about Damien Desmond at all, the second son?
I mean, he has a giant crush on Anya, and I think it's very funny.
Yeah, after she punches him, he's like, "I'm in love with this girl, and I hate it so much," which is very good.
And
He ties into the plot, right? The main thing is that, like, Lloyd is like, "Hey, you have to be friends with this guy, so that way, when he invites you over to his house, I can talk to his dad," and like that's very important. But like, beyond that, he's just kind of like an annoying rich kid, of that type. He's got some weird lackeys, which are funny, and they're just goofballs. Um, but completely fine.
I'm sure we'll get more of them in season 2, which is
Yes.
airing in October.
Yep. And then I think probably the last character we really need to talk about is Headmaster Harry Henderson. What do you think about Headmaster Henderson?
I think he reminds me of my mom, not in execution, but in concept.
Excuse me?
I mean, that's just how I was raised, right? All about appearances, and you have to be elegant all the time, and you read way too much into others' actions, and there's these like weird, superfluous social tests all the time. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. So the way we're introduced to this man is when they're like walking into the academy to take like the entry exams to show to make sure that Anya is like available to actually enter this elite school. And like they notice that they're being graded as soon as they're walking onto the campus grounds. So like Lloyd tells the other two, like, "Hey, there's people watching us," and like we get the cut from them saying that to Henderson, watching them from the windows and like taking notes on them and being like, "Oh, well, none of these people are elegant at all. They're just completely common people that with no appreciation or understanding of the values we have here at Eden College." So then like they have one of the older students like sit in a sewer drain, and they're just like, "Okay, how are you gonna handle this? Because like if you rescue him, your clothes will get all dirty, and that'll be that's not elegant. But if you leave him, that's not elegant either. What are you gonna do?" So Lloyd pulls him out with his spy strength and in one single pull, and he gets his clothes dirty, and Henderson's like, "Oh, I've got you now, forger." But then they go and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, we had to change of clothes, so this is fine." And then he's like, "How? Okay, all right, they're really prepared, maybe they can do this." And then all the animals in the school's menagerie get let out, including an ostrich and I believe a rhinoceros. And the way that they stop that is or no, I think it's a bull. It's a very large bull. But your does the fucking gentle fist style from Naruto deactivates its chakra points and knocks it out. And
There's
then
a couple of Naruto references.
yes, and like he's just like, "Wait, hold on, that wasn't even part of the test. That's just an accident that happened. How did they do this?" And he's like, "Well, they still don't have any nice clothes," and they're just he came down to thank them, and he's like, "They're actually like, no, actually, we bought a third set of clothes," and he's just like, "Ah, they're so elegant." He's very funny. In the final test, there's a guy who's like just starts talking shit about Yor because the story is that Yor is Lloyd's second wife, and he's just like, "Oh, well, I guess like your daughter prefers her first mom more." And then Lloyd, very narrowly stops himself from decking this guy, but then Henderson like looks back at this guy and then does deck him, which is very good. So yeah, I mean, I love this guy. I love this weird old dude.
He is, yeah. He keeps trying to cover for Anya all the time, because I think he's just fascinated by this weird family. But He's great. I'm obsessed with him, and I hope we get to see much, much more of him in season two.
Mm-hmm.
So our talking
100%.
points are two specific episodes. We'll start with the God's most expensive filler.
So this is a wild episode. Right? This is right after they've proven that Anya is able to get into the college, and they're just like, "Great, Anya, you've passed. I'm so proud of you. What do you want to celebrate?" And then Anya's like, "I want to go to a castle," and the whole rest of the episode, which is like, the first maybe 7 minutes of it are figuring out whether or not she got in. The rest of the episode is just an extended bit where they do a fucking LARP of Bond Man, her TV show. Lloyd has this assistant guy, his supply guy, pretend to be a bad guy and, kidnap Anya. And they go through this castle and basically, they hire a bunch of CIA agents to play as henchmen. And they're all like throwing, rubber balls at Lloyd. And he has to pretend to be Lloyd Man and rescue Anya. And it doesn't contribute to the narrative at all, but it is very fun.
It is a delightful time. So, like, he goes through all these obstacles. Mind you, he's so embarrassed the whole time. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to do this. Do I really have to roleplay this weird TV show for this child? And he keeps convincing himself that it's for the good of the mission, but, like, obviously he's doing it to make his daughter happy. There is one scene where he and Yor have to fight about it. It's real good. I want to see them fight more. It's pretty hot.
Yes, no, it's extremely sexy. Yor is very drunk and she's just kind of like there. Yor does not question at all why the entire, MI6 rolled up and has just started doing cosplay in this, German castle, but whatever. But she does, she is just like, yeah, no, I'll fight Lloyd. Why the fuck not? And she does like cut his face with her, she does the anime thing where she leaves like a slashing injury with, a blunt attack, which is very fun. And then she, immediately falls over because she's been drinking too much and just falls asleep. It's very good. But for 1 second, Lloyd is like, I am going to die here.
I know. And my favorite thing is that the MI6 agents also don't question it. Like, they all roll up and Lloyd does like a little Morse code thing to be like, don't ask any questions. This is for the good of Mission Strix. Just fucking roll with it. Whatever Frankie tells you to do, you just do that. And, Frankie's like, you gotta be the villains. And they all like cosplay, bad guys with fucking, balaclavas with the fucking eye holes cut out. And
yep.
Each and every single one of them is like so horny for the opportunity to go up against Agent Twilight. And by the time he like rescues Anya, they're all overwhelmed with emotion and just crying.
It's really good. Like, I don't know why they did this episode. It doesn't seem necessary in any way. I don't know that we got any character development except for maybe like Lloyd is willing to do stupid stuff for his daughter. But like, it is a strange choice, I think. I'm not sure. I don't know if this is because this is based on a manga. I don't know if this is a thing that happened in the manga. I would be surprised if it was. But like, do you know why they would make this choice, Layla?
I feel like I know why they would make this choice, which is just that it was fun. What I don't understand is why they put so much fucking money into it. There was like new props, a blimp, an action sequence, a whole castle, VFX. Like the whole thing was unhinged and expensive.
Yeah, like as close as this show gets to Sakuga, which is a very strange choice.
Yeah, truly. I did love it though. Speaking of strange choices, episode 10, the Dodgeball episode.
The Dodgeball episode fucking owned. That, I think that is the best episode of this show. It's so good.
Hands down.
So basically, right, Anya, in order to get the special meeting with the second son's dad or whatever, right? Anya needs to get 8 stars. And if she gets 8 stars, she can become a special honor student, or what did they call it? Like a Twilight Imperium scholar or some shit.
An Imperium student, yeah.
Okay, Twilight Imperium's a Warhammer thing. But like, yeah. But basically, so they hear this rumor that like if you become the MVP of the Dodgeball game, you get a star. So that way, Anya is very, motivated to do this and wants to compete. So she asks Yor to give her a training montage, which she does, which is really really good. And then they have this whole big like dodgeball sequence against the other class, and like she and Damien are on the same team, but they're both competing to be MVP to be to get the star. And it's maybe my favorite dodgeball sequence of any media.
Yeah, I mean their opponent is Bill Waters.
Parentheses 6.
The show has to clarify that he's 6 years old because he looks and talks like a grown man.
Yeah, no, he's like taller than Lloyd, and like this is as broad as a barn. And like I think they have an adult voice actor doing his voice, which is extremely good. He's just like a guy.
And then in the flashback sequence, he goes up to his even bigger father. It is like, Daddy.
It's so fucking funny. But yeah, the whole episode is just this kid just like obliterating these children because he's of course so much stronger than them. And this is where it's just a really fun episode because like Damien and his like idiot lackeys try to fight him back, and they're just like, oh well, we did some training montages, we were ready for this. And like it cuts to it has two different Dragon Ball Z references. The first is like they are climbing up this like jagged rock like desert in the desert where Goku fights Vegeta, which is a classic anime landscape. And then the second one is on the planet Namek, where like he's like pretending to hold back an energy blast, but it's really just him like training to catch a ball. But it's so good and it's so funny that they made those little jokes. Like this is a show for and by weebs.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then not to mention, they do some shadow clone shoots and shit.
They literally call this attack the shadow clone technique, which is really stupid and fun. And then fucking Bill Waters counters with his own shadow clone attack, in which case one of Damien's friends jumps in front of the ball to save him and looks like so happy as he dies.
And then Damien, of course, jumps in front of Anya. She says, like, your death won't be in vain. And he's like, I'm not dead.
Yeah. And then that episode ends with her trying to do this special attack she learned from Yor, like, which Yor called, like, or Anya calls, like, her shining star arrow or some shit. And when Yor does it, it's like a an energy blast that tears through the forest. Anya does it. It looks really cool, but she does throw it into the ground, so it just sort of bounces up, and then Bill Waters catches the ball and then hits her in the head, and the game is over.
I think, yeah, this show works best when it has characters take very stupid situations very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
I mean, I think that's... Yeah, I mean, like, that's... Right, that's kind of the whole point of I think that's a very effective comedic tool, is just to be like, this is an absurd thing and we are just going to take it completely seriously, and the humor will come from the audience recognizing how not serious this is, and us treating a game of dodgeball like it's fucking Saving Private Ryan, like that'll be funny for you. But also, like, if you've ever been a child who's played dodgeball or watched children play dodgeball, that's just how it is, right? That's just, people are fucking dying, people are flopping on the ground, people are jumping in front of their friends. It's good. Dodgeball's great.
I mean, that's how we used to... I remember when we used to play dodgeball in like elementary school. I remember like getting everyone into a huddle and being like, guys, we have to switch names. They can't know where we're throwing the ball when we shout each other's names. So we like switched names and we won the fucking game.
Hell yeah. Fucking, that's some psyops shit. Yeah,
we were running full psyops in second
information
grade.
Warfare over here.
Yeah, hey, they said World War III was going to be a war of information, so here we are. But yeah, it's it just truly, like, I think starting off with Bill Waters (6) and then just only escalating from there was the best possible move. I had a great time watching that episode.
No, it's really, really good. Yeah, I mean, uh, just a great show. I think very fun.
Yeah, so we do still need to talk about Eerie.
So Yuri, Yuri is yours brother. He's a couple years younger than her, and he is part of the KGB. He's a torturer is his whole deal, and he's tasked with trying to hunt down Twilight. He's also fucking weird about his sister.
Yeah, he wants to marry his sister. That is explicit in the text.
Mhm.
And he has a ton of pictures of her in his locker, and he's weird about her, like, almost kissing Lloyd.
He demands. He's like, y'all don't act like a married couple. I demand that you kiss right in front of me right now. A normal thing that all siblings say to each other. And that an older sibling would comply with. That's a normal response to have.
Yeah, I would 100% do whatever my little brother told me if he so much as
Mm-hmm.
suspected that I was in a weird fake marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. This is especially weird because all older siblings are just like, what the fuck are you talking about? But like, yeah, there's Yuri's very funny, but I think he's a fucking weirdo and I don't like him.
Yeah, I don't like him either. I do. Okay, so what I do like is that Lloyd has already caught on to him
Yeah.
because he's using like a textbook cover story for like where he went, where he got wine, et cetera, et cetera. And Lloyd's like, I've read this manual. Absolutely not. This wine's more expensive than you say it is. You haven't actually been there. This guy's not alive anymore. And I think listen, I think plot wise, Yuri is great, right? It sets up a nice tension. They have to figure out that like Yor has no idea what he does all day. And he's also a freak weirdo, which is a great add to this like freak weirdo cast. But God, did we need this?
We did not. Listen, in every anime, there's got to be that one thing that's like, oh, you were doing so well. Why'd you introduce this weird element?
Yeah, and I think this is the weird element. I like the weird secret police shit. I like that the siblings are both kind of weird little freak bitches. I even like that they care about each other a lot. I could do without the whole sister. I think the funniest part of that flashback wasn't even the fact that he was like, "Sister, someday I'm gonna marry you." Because sometimes little kids say like weird shit, especially traumatized little kids that grow
Mm-hmm.
up with no parents. So but that's when you correct them and you go, "That's not how or why marriage works." But yours is just like, guess I gotta wait, ma'am.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Um, no, you don't.
It's not. We don't need to be encouraging our young men to think like that. That's a bad road. You don't want to walk down that dark road. Yeah, yeah. I think he's effective in the ways that he is deployed, but like I just wish they hadn't introduced that element. You know, I wish that they had cut him, or like at least cut some of him and made more room for yours assassin shenanigans.
Exactly. I think that is the one stain on an otherwise pretty good time.
Yeah, yeah. So there is one more thing I wanted to ask about Spy Family.
Uh huh.
So because I was introduced to this show on Tumblr, I got a couple of my people that I follow on Tumblr talking about how this show really portrays domestic life, having an office job and a kid, a family as like kind of a fun, nice thing to do, even if it's a little bit silly and there's like some other stuff going on. And there is a fear that you know former now deceased prime minister of Japan Shinzo Abe might be behind this anime in an effort to try to convince the population to have more kids.
Okay, so I cannot tell if the Shinzo Abe thing is like a meme, a rumor, like a flat Tumblr lie or not. But here's the thing. It is such a harmless lie that I'm willing to integrate it into my belief system, no fucking questions asked.
So here's the thing about Shinzo Abe and birth rates is that that's 100% true. I am going to read the know your meme thing. Um, Basically, his whole deal is that, um, listen, he's a fucking bad dude. He has some extremely bad politics. He's I'm not happy about his politics. But like, he is publicly blamed young people in Japan for being uninterested in sex, and he as a right wing politician, right? He has a bad he had, I guess, a bad understanding of our relationship with how people were how many people were giving birth, and Tumblr just sort of took that and run with it, and you know what, it's good, it's a good meme.
Right. Well, I know that the birth rate thing is accurate, but the whole
Okay.
like was he sponsoring like an anime about it thing. But again, it's fine. I'm just going to believe that that's true. And given that I now believe that that's true, I mean, I would sponsor this to get my people to fuck.
Yes, yes. And that kind of leads me into our marketing minute, which is if you were a soon to be assassinated prime minister of a country that needed to increase your country's falling birth rates, what kind of wholesome, or maybe not so wholesome, what ideas do you have to convince people that it's important to procreate for the good of your nation?
Well, here's the thing. We've seen the way this country has been going the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I would start a cult is the thing.
I
Because that
see.
seems to be the best way to get people to do things around here. You just start a cult of personality. And I think that as part of that cult, we would need some sort of um media property, a la, I'm trying to think of like what's a good propaganda show. But I read a Twitter thread at some point where like if JP Brammer, the writer, can at this point walk into a coffee shop and tell what kind of Christian denomination has sponsored the coffee shop just based on the vibe of the music. Because
Oh no.
apparently a lot of coffee shops are affiliated with like weird churches. Again, something I'm not gonna bother to question, and I'm just gonna integrate into my belief system. So therefore, I think that my pro fucking cult is going to need to start a chain of maybe coffee shops, maybe burger joints. I got to figure out what my like target demo is. And then I do think that we need just like the horniest, like religious cult music we possibly could muster. So I think
Mm-hmm,
I need a
mm-hmm.
cult and a record label, just making horny pro family jams.
Listen, we do this marketing minute to prove our competence to Disney that we would be great executives at their corporation. And Disney has a long history of putting pro fucking music subliminal messages into their music. So I think that's a great pitch, Layla. I think the folks up at Disney are gonna love that one.
Thanks. What about
Um,
you?
I think I would just do the easy route and be like, well, you know who loves not using birth control? Catholics. And then I would make an anime about the lives of the saints, or perhaps some sort of quest to collect holy relics. And it would just be chock full of anti birth control propaganda, which, I don't think we're that far out, considering we already getting extremely anti-abortion. What's that show? Zootopia comics. So, you
Oh
know,
God. Don't make me put that in the show notes now that you've
don't
referenced
no
it.
don't you do not have to put that in the show notes. Nobody go look it up. Y'all don't need to know about that. If you know, you fucking know. Uh,
The problem is that the art is good.
the art is extremely good. Is the problem? It's
The problem is that the art is good. Anyway, I'm sorry. Why did you do this?
anyway. Yeah. Well, when we're not ruining the internet for each other, Layla, where can we be found online?
So you can find me at LEYLSCS on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. Like I said, I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks in Vancouver and then Montreal. So look out for some travel pics here and there. And then otherwise I write and draw sometimes. Aaron, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at AaronSXO, where I tweet about tabletop RPGs, health policy, and writing. I also do YouTube tabletop RPG reviews. So hopefully this Friday, I'll have a video out about Anamnesis that will heavily involve talking about the plot of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Don't know if that essay is going to be good, but it might be interesting. So check that out. I also do another show that's at The Bible Boys. That show is on hiatus because my co-hosts have extremely hectic lives currently. So hopefully we'll be getting back on track here in a couple weeks. But until then, you can listen to an interview I did with Holy Happy Hour that I had a really good time with Ben there, and I talked about Bible Boys and I talked about religion and Left Behind, and it was a really good time. I will ask Leyla to put this in the show notes, so you can check out that interview on YouTube if that's something you're interested in.
I listened to it. It's good. It's very engaging.
Aw, I'm glad that you listened to it. I had a good time. It was really fun. But yeah, our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, I think this has been a good episode, but I think it's time to say goodbye.
No, please don't get rid of me. I'm a good bargain.
Great. Good. We'll see you all next week. Sort of.
In a way.